Hi, thanks for joining me today. It's Kathie, and I have a new project to share with you. We're going to be featuring the September 2017 Paper Pumpkin Kit, and this is alternate project number 4. I'll be sharing with you 2 cards today, and I also have 4 more cards that I'll be sharing, but I'll be breaking that down into 2 videos. Alright, so for today's card, we're going to start off with the owl card. Here are the parts that we're going to be using. The twine from the kit, and I did pre-tie the bow. The 3 ferns from the kit also. The small tag with the gold accent. The small or the circle die cut piece, and also the leaf die cut piece. Half of the pillow box. And the panel here is Dapper Denim, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. Okay, and we're going to be starting off with the leaf piece here. And we're just going to draw a curve starting from the top. And then come down. And once I drew this, a light bulb idea came up. So I'm going to show you my idea that came out of this in the next video. All right, so right now we're just drawing out the owl shape. And we'll just trim around that. And when you finish cutting them out, just make sure that the edges are nice and smooth and you've erased the pencil marks. I did fuss a little bit to get those edges nice and smooth. And then with soft suede and the large leaf stamp, I did try to do second generation, but I didn't press hard enough. But we'll just move on because it just gives it more detail. All right, so just stamp that, and then with the black Stampin' Up marker, we're going to draw the eyes of the owl along with the beak. And for the white of the eyes, I'm using a white pigment pen. Okay, and I did draw circles around the eyes there because I didn't think it looked finished enough. And it was at the beginning of the video, the still, and then I'll just show it to you at the end. And with soft suede, we're going to shade around the body. Just make sure you leave the highlight around the head there and also the front of the body. And then with basic gray, we're just going to shade again because the ink does tend to fade a little bit when it dries. Okay. And then I decided to remove the little bits on each side there just so that he looks a bit more rounded. And I think that looks a lot better. All right, moving on to the pillow piece. We're just going to cut along the bottom part of that curve, and then on the opposite end, we'll just cut along the curve. Okay, and with the blue panel, we're just going to tie the twine around that twice. And then to make it a little bit easier, I did flip it over when I stick down the pillow panel there. So we're just going to raise the pillow panel with some dimensionals and just line up the blue panel on your mat, just so that it's nice and centered. And I really like the mat there, but picking up parts and bits, it's still a bit hard to pick up. I don't know. But it is helpful though. All right, and then we're going to stick down the ferns. Just have a little bit hanging off of the pillow piece. And then for the gold or the green piece, I just thought I'd snip off the stem there. I thought it might stick out, but the owl actually covered it up nicely. So just have that hanging down on the pillow piece there. And then the circle die cut piece here, I'm just shading it lightly with Pacific Point. Just be mindful of the hole there on that tag piece. The owl's head is it's gonna cover it up nicely. So we're also gonna raise the owl. And then the small tag with gold accent, I created the sentiment from the kit. I just masked off the words and just left the B in the thankful, and then glued down the bow and also raised it. Now this panel is cut at 5 3/8 inches. So when we mount it onto the card base, we'll have a little bit of white on the top and a little bit more on the bottom. Okay, and then 3 gold sequins, just to give it a little bit of bling. And then I drew in the lines around the eyes with the pigment marker. So I think that looks a lot better. All right, a couple of stills of the finished card. I think it looks nice and masculine. All right, hope you enjoyed that. We're going to move on to the second card. This one is super easy to create. And here are the parts that we're going to be using. Cajun Craze from the kit, pumpkin pie, and the 2 markers is pumpkin pie and always artichoke. We're going to use the large leaf stamp. We need a white piece of cardstock, and we're going to use the 2 note cards, but we're going to cut that in half. And then a green panel, which I believe is Emerald Envy. So there's the 2 note pieces. I did cut the other side off, and we're just interested only on the embossed pieces. And just make sure that they're in the right orientation when you're sticking these down. And then the pieces that are hanging off, we'll just remove that. All right, and then we'll mount that on a top folding card base. So that's all ready. And now we're going to create the pumpkins. So with wasabi and the leaf stamp, we're just going to stamp 3 leaves. And this is just added detail for the pumpkin. Just draw 3 circles or oval shapes. One needs to be larger than the other. So a large, medium, and small pumpkin. And see how it indents at the bottom part of the leaf? That's going to be the tops of your pumpkin. So that's going to help you create that indentation where it dips down. All right, so cut out your pumpkins and then just clean up the edges and make sure that they're nice and rounded. Okay, once you're happy with that, we're going to grab the pumpkin pie ink and we'll just shade all around it. Make sure you do leave a highlight on each pumpkin. And then we'll bring in the Cajun Craze and then shade along the edge there. And now your pumpkins look really 3D and they pop out nicely. All right, and then with the pumpkin pie marker, we're just going to draw a little bit of detail of the pumpkin. So 2 on the small one, 4 on the medium and large. And because the pumpkin pie marker kind of faded a bit, I brought in the Always Artichoke and just retrace those lines using the fine tip. And then to create the little stumps, I guess, for the pumpkins, I just kind of scribbled some Always Artichoke on a white piece of cardstock and then just sketched out the shapes and then cut them out. Now we're just going to glue them onto each pumpkin. Just make sure you did draw one out that's going in the different direction or the opposite direction. And then once you glued them down, we'll just kind of ground them with Always Artichoke. Okay, and I just added a little bit of shading on it too. Not that you can see it, but there's the 3 pumpkins all done. And then now we're going to stick it onto the panel. We'll raise the other 2, and that way it covers up that crease. So nice little trio of pumpkins. And for the sentiment, we're going to use Spooky Cat from the Christmas catalog. We're going to use that Happy Halloween sentiment. And I just created a little flag banner. Okay, and we'll just stick that across the pumpkins. And of course, I had to add some yellow sequins or enamel dots and pink happy stars. Well, that's our final card for today. And then here's a couple of stills. I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. Thanks so much for joining me. Bye for now.